Speaking of introductions, most of these guys don't need one. It's a true honor for me to be sitting up here with them and about to have this panel with some guys who have truly changed the world a lot of different ways and are continuing to try to do so in this beautiful space, which is great. So first I want to just say that I love this city. Thank you for having me out. Thank you for being here. Everything about humongous fan. I know when she introduced me, she said that my name has the money side in it, but just I want everybody to know that any transparent fiat currency is a protest to the central banks. So, I think it's really important. I don't think quantitative easing and fractional reserve lending is a very good roadmap for humanity moving forward. So that's why I'm a big fan of this space. So, thank you. So, I was lucky enough to be asked to moderate this panel, and we're going to be talking about a lot of cool things today. We're going to be talking about NFTs, obviously NFTs, how they play a role in the music space, kind of maybe the way people would have done things a little bit differently if they would have been introduced a little bit before. But one of the things that's most important to me, on top of all those things, is the power of your own perspective and your mentality to pull yourself out of some situation that you're currently in. So, you look at people who have overcome amazing challenges like Zion here. I just want to really touch base, and I want to try to focus on the ability to focus on being grateful for what you have and not for what you don't. And you will find that the law of abundance and the law of positivity is absolutely real, and you will just gravitate so much more love. And if financial resources is what you're looking for, you're going to just find yourself just swimming in it if you need to. But make sure you do positive things with that once you have it. So let's start with Mr. Scott Page from Pink Floyd and Toto. And guys, one of the greatest saxophonists of all time, guitarist, texting Ego now. So Scott, why don't we start at the top? Why don't you tell us a little bit about, as a young child, how hard you had to work to get to where you were, and then obviously how you got your connections into Pink Floyd and everything else, and then we'll talk a little about the other stuff.
All right, so I'll try to do this quickly, right? I grew up in a musical family. My father was in a band called The Lawrence Welk Show. It was a television show that was running every weekend. It's still, actually, I think it's the longest running television show in history. It's still running after all these years. So I grew up around television. My dad was a fine musician, but mostly he was a serial entrepreneur. We had boat businesses, lighting businesses, candy businesses, reed businesses. My father was actually one of the inventors and started the wah-wah pedal, so that famous pedal, and then started Sound City, the recording studio for those that know about the music business, right? So been around that all my life. Definitely was in the entrepreneurial spirit, so got lucky, I got involved. I've always wanted to make things and do things. I've always been very kind of curious. I think that's an important thing to be. Got lucky, started meeting some of the right people going through the music business. And what I tried to tell everybody, my father would always tell me, he would say, if you're going to be in the business, be around the business. So instead of working in a gas station, if you're going to be in the music business, get a job at the music store. Be any place you can be around it. And Brother Tom Bill, well, first of all, that guy killed it, right? That was he dropped some big tunes for us. And I'm very thankful for that. But like him, it's really about being in the game. And so, we were talking about it. And I used to take every gig. I would play gigs and we had club gigs where I'd make money and then I'd get called to do a gig that was, not so good, but the right people were there. So I'd always take those gigs and you just never know where they come from. So it really got me going probably in the music business. I was playing a club gig. There was a guy that was sitting in the back of the room, never knew who he was. I saw him there week after week. I walked up to him. Finally, I asked him, what do you do? And he says, I play drums in this band called Supertramp. And so I met Bob. Bob got involved, and years later, we became friends. I got called to do that. Gig over came and played on the records. Then I met Dave, and it kind of went on from that. So my suggestion to everybody, man, just go where the game is. And first of all, you're in the game right now. All you people, this is a big deal. This is the people's movement. We got a shot to take back the power of the currency. So happy you're talking about the central banks. But anyway, I feel like I want to talk forever. I can talk the whole time, man. That's me. So anyway, all that off. There you go. You just be where you need to be.
No, you're okay. We have a few questions for everybody anyway, so we have a nice little chunk of time to speak, but no, that's beautiful, and that just shows the power of hard work.
Yeah, and then it's just a matter of being around those those people, and I got lucky and started a company. I took one public, and I have my fourth startup right now, and it's just really about the team, putting the people together, because I'm not that good, but what I am good at is knowing who to call. That's really probably one of the best advice I can give anybody. Surround yourself with people that really know how to make stuff, and you can make things happen.
For sure, absolutely. Your network is obviously super important. It is about who you know, but trust me, you want to be a superstar, and you want to believe that with absolute certainty that you know you are the very best, period. And then show the world your talents. So, thanks, CEO.
Yeah, so my companies have been tech companies. I've kind of been that guy that lives on both sides of the tech and entertainment space. Actually, I was very excited. A guy came up to me today. He said, "Dude, I remember your title was called Toonland." And he said, "It changed my life when I was a kid." It was so great, so I was very happy. And Toonland, I'm very proud of. It was considered the world's first interactive cartoon, musical cartoon. Starred Howie Mandel back in the day. We sold 11 million units of that, believe it or not. One of the early CD-ROMs ran on a 386 25 megahertz Windows machine, which was crazy in those days. So anyway, I've been around the tech space a lot, kind of working with engineers and being that guy that's sort of in the middle, because if you'll know, a lot of the creative people, they want to like throw different things up. Oh, let's try this, let's try this. Nothing drives an engineer more crazy than sitting there telling you, well, let's try this, they want specs. So I'm that guy in between that can talk tech and talk music. So yeah, been very thankful. And Think Experience came about when I realized you couldn't sell music anymore. There's no place to sell music, right? I mean, where are you going to sell music? Streaming business, the worst business in the world, right? Horrible business model. What is it? It's like, what is it? I think it's $4,000 to $5,000 per million streams, roughly, maybe, right? But here's the irony. It's like if you look at the Spotify catalog, it's only like 2 to 3% of the entire catalog even hits a million streams. Horrible business model. That's why what's happening now and why NFTs are so important. This is the total direct-to-consumer business model that puts the power of that in the hands of the artist. It's a big deal. Everything's going to get NFT. I don't care what it is. If you're a hair salon, you're a yoga studio, everything will start to be NFT. And so those people that get involved now, you've got a real advantage. We've got a lot of challenges and stuff to learn, but this is really where the space is at. So Think Experience is really about, I've been doing a lot of interactive, immersive type events. I saw that as a space. And then just really fell into the NFT space. I've been around the blockchain since 2011 when I saw this space. And once, I remember the night I sat there, I was like, okay, NFTs, and I remember sitting up, and all of a sudden I remember sitting up in my bed, and I'm like, oh my God, this is big. This is so much bigger, because when you realize it's a technology that's programmable, you can build business models on, build rights, roles, and permissions, I can start handing them off. When you start looking at the technology, what it can do, it's not an ape. Sure, that's not what it is. People don't realize why Bored Apes. Think about it. Listen, that's the fastest growing. I can't think of a company that went from zero to, I heard the other day, they're a $4 billion company in 2 years. Tell me how many companies do that, right? So this is a big deal, and it is all around community. It is all about this, and there's a new way to do all these things. But anyway, Think is all about the immersive entertainment space. I'm putting on a whole bunch of IRL events. We'll do probably 25 this next year. Building right now like crazy, building audience. Brother Gabe I'm in the community with Brother Gabe, one of the true pioneers in the space, because he's showing the people the way how this works. Because it's a different game. It's all about building a hive. And my motto is this: if you want to survive, you have to build a hive. And that hive will get you through down markets, through everything, because it's really about the people and what you're building. So learning that, and Gabe was definitely showing the way of how that can be.
I love that you guys call it hive, because honey is one of the only foods that lasts forever. So I think that's probably a bit of a metaphor for what's going to happen with the blockchain being embedded in time forever, and for the existence of the internet in whatever shape it takes. So it's a beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing all that. That's awesome. So everybody, work incredibly hard to be the best you can at your craft. Obviously, try to surround yourself with the same networks that of other successful people, and just know with absolute certainty that you can make it. Let's move on to Zion. Man, what a pleasure to meet you for the first time, bro. I gotta tell you, man, I think a lot of people think that they're not born into this world with everything that they need to succeed, and you're the epitome of showing people that it doesn't matter. All you need is a positive mindset and hard work to change whatever situation you're in. So, obviously, my man, you were born with this rare syndrome that disallows you to have legs. you know, and you were born in a situation where you had a father. I read about you, and your mother couldn't care for you. She had to put you up for adoption, and you were through the foster care system, and something must have happened to you. I know that your childhood was not easy. Something must have happened to you at some point in time that I want you to share with me and everybody here. What was that eureka moment when you just said, I'm not going to let any of this stop me from being the person I want to be?
Dude, probably when I was in high school. It was, I was a junior, and at that point, I'm a wrestler. I'm a high-level athlete, newly signed pro MMA fighter. And back in the day, man, I lost over 200 times consecutively over 12 years. So that's a long time to lose. And I remember I didn't win this match, but it was a big turnaround moment where I hit like a really sloppy version of a move that I can do flawlessly now. But it's like it opened my eyes to like, okay, there's actually something that I can work off of. So when that happened, my coaches and my teammates, everybody around me who I practically grew up with since I was 4 or 5 years old in the sport of wrestling, we all like played off my strengths, and that turnaround moment is what propelled me to college, and a 2-time All-American team USA member for the one-time best team. And it's like, you know, when you have that type of, when you get those type of chances where, you know, there might only be one chance you get to really like say, here, this is what I got, this is what I'm going to lay on the table. You gotta just go for it. Because if not, that chance is not gonna come back around. The sun's not gonna go backwards, it's gonna keep moving forward. The time's gonna keep going forward. Time's not gonna stop, it's not gonna slow down, it's just gonna keep moving forward or move faster. So that being said, you gotta always be ready to, when it's time for you to shine, you gotta lay your stuff, you gotta lay your stuff out.
Man, that couldn't be further from the truth, man. Like, I tell you what, I in my research of you, I noticed that you were working right now on an NFT project that's helping people in a charitable, philanthropic way. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. My NFT project, you know, obviously, yeah, we're trying to make some money off of it, but here's the thing: what's the point of making all this money if we can't use it to collectively help the world and people around us? So, one of my big things is reform the foster care system. So I'm going to take a lot of proceeds to help these kids from across the country. And actually, just recently, I've been able to get the ball moving on bringing together the top 3 biggest foster care organizations in the country. I spoke to each one of them, all the way from Florida, and out here in Seattle, which I was here like 3 months ago. And you know, at the end of the day, we need to help these kids become grow, become strong, and become contributing citizens of society. And we can't do that when the living conditions are shit. You know, and it's not an ideal spot for a kid not to be having food or any type of guidance. Because like on the most real level, I was that kid that didn't have a family, didn't have friends, didn't have food, didn't have water, didn't have clothes. Like I didn't have absolutely anything for a very long time. I had to figure it out for myself. I had to make money myself. I had to find food myself. I want to make it so if whether these kids have a family or not, with this NFT project, all the proceeds are going to be going not to the parents, but to what the kids actually need. And that's one of my big focus points right now, is for my NFT project.
I think that is so commendable.
I just wanted to say one thing about what you think, because charity, if you think about NFTs, what's wonderful about it, I think we don't give back, we give forward, and it's beautiful now because we have a mechanism where we can put things into the smart contract that can actually help right away. So it's beautiful. We can make a decision right up in front, put it in there, set that wallet up. We're doing it right now, and we're driving revenue to companies and people that need things. So this is great, man. I love it. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, bro, definitely. I'll talk to you after this too. So I know you're from Columbus, Ohio. So my family's from Cincinnati, but every year I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger's featured artist for his After School All-Stars charity for his Arnold Classic in Columbus. So I'd love to have you on that panel, man. We'll raise a lot of money for.
I'm there every year.
Yeah, cool, bro. So you're connected to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, cool, right on, man. So then we'll be seeing each other the next one then, for sure. If you want to talk about, I do have a question that may help people. So you have a large following, but as we all know, that a very small percentage of the population is actually knowledgeable about crypto assets and the NFT Web3 space. So what is your strategy to educate, all of your millions of followers into this new? How are you going to guide them into this, this new arena?
Simplification. The majority of people, the population, when you talk about NFTs and cryptocurrency and all that, I'm gonna tell you right now, about a year ago, you would have told me about all this, I would have been like, huh? But I've learned that from what I've learned and the people I've been working with and my team, that it's like kind of a learning process. There's so many different avenues to go, and depending on who you're talking to, one person might understand it differently than somebody else. And if you look at the demographic of what your followers are, you can kind of see with each post, what platforms that you're posting on, who target or what area of the cryptocurrency, what area of the NFT, whether you're more interested in the blockchain or you're more interested in the artistic part of it, or if you want to really do the hard work and get into cryptocurrency. A lot of people have different skill sets and understand things different ways. And just like how, to me, it's just like how I give speeches, depending on who I'm talking to. I'm talking to adults, I'm going to talk differently than I'm going to talk to kids. I'm going to talk to kids differently than I'm going to talk to teens. I'm going to talk to teens differently than I'm going to talk to college students. Because each level has a different way of understanding, depending on who they are.
Yeah, absolutely, it's beautiful. Listen, I think that that's absolutely the best approach to educate people on this, is like from a fundamental, elementary level where you understand how they absorb knowledge. Because this industry completely can change everything, guys. I mean, every speaker I've heard so far has talked about it, but it's so powerful when you talk about the way that this can change humanity. This is not just about artwork. This is about changing everything that we can to have hundreds, if not thousands of years of a better roadmap for humanity. So stick to this space, try to educate everybody you can. They call you crazy. I remember in 2016, I was listening to Warren Buffett every day tell me that Bitcoin was a scam. And then I had one of my close friends who was a business mentor of mine tell me in 2017 I need to get into Bitcoin. And because why? Why I need to get into Bitcoin? And I said, but Warren Buffett is something was a scam, I don't want to do this. And then I eventually started to tell myself, I'm like, wait a minute. Everything in life has to evolve. Every single thing. And we're seeing the destruction of fiat currency as we speak right now. So I knew that money had to evolve. And I also knew that a finite amount of something like Bitcoin being digital gold, and that's obviously not the only point, but I just knew in my mind from what I know about history and what I foresaw for the future, I knew that there was a better way for humanity to move forward, where you could become your own bank, you could, peer-to-peer, you don't have to worry about all these middle transactionary fees and all these people and all these things that are geared to hold you down. So anyway, yeah, it's a beautiful thing about this entire atmosphere, and I love the people in it. Everybody has a great heart, and you can tell. So yeah, keep that up, man. Educate as many people as you can. I'm happy to help you spread whatever message you want, man. Just let me know anytime, and my platform's yours, and vice versa. So
absolutely, my biggest thing is no excuses, man. So let's do it.
I love that. All right, cool. All right, so I'm gonna bring some people here that maybe aren't that old, but I'm bringing everybody back to 1992. My boy Sir makes a lot in the house. Singer-songwriter, producer, obviously, responsible for one of the greatest songs in history. Baby Got Back. The original OG Jumped in the Trunk. And bro, listen, I'm with you. My girl's Puerto Rican, so like, I'm here.
I need to see it and make sure that she's
Oh man, that's funny, man. Well, I'll tell you what. So I'm really excited to talk to you about your job you're coming up soon. But if you don't mind, take us back, to the 80s and 90s. Tell us about how you kind of got your start into the industry and what had to transpire in order for you to really take that over, man.
I'm glad you asked that because it'll lead to where I'm going to go later.
1983, hip hop was out. It was like, you had 4 songs, but Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5, Message, you had, Sugar Hill Gang, blah, 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 blah. So I'm studying it, but I just can't figure out. That's not a drummer, but it sounds like something. You know what I mean? And one day I'm watching this place used to play music videos, MTV, and I see Kraftwerk. And I see this dude had some shit strapped to his arm with a little wand, like an oil can thing from back in the day. And he was playing drum, like boom, boom, boom. Like, that's the shit I need right there. I knew it, and technology was always what pulled me into something. I didn't see a drummer or a guitar player or a bass player and want to be that. I wanted to get to that next level, whatever next was. And when I saw Kraftwerk, a lot of, it wasn't just me, Arthur Baker, Africa Van Mother, the Soul Sonic Force, all these guys saw that. And they knew that's accessible, we can get in right now. And I did. So by 1985, I was DJing around town and all this stuff. And by 1985, I put out my first single, which is this goofy ass song called Square Dance Rap. And it sold about 100,000 copies, so.
You want to sing it right now?
No. I ain't got that voice naturally. And then we did an album called Swass. And that was interesting because prior to the record, I went to Wembley Arena. Yeah, I should have did that before the record. Yeah, we're gonna promote the record on stage, and they were like, who the fuck is this dude? I mean, literally, that's how, so that didn't work out well. But anyway, I came back, we finished the record, and we did this little song that I thought was not the greatest song on the record, it's Posse on Broadway. And that was, way before they got back, that was platinum on an independent label in Seattle that was not doing right. So then we go to do the next record, 89, that was Seminar, that went gold, and then went through, that's when I started learning about the business. Went through a nasty lawsuit, and it hurt. It hurts when the guy you're against in court, he's not the boogeyman, he was my friend. And that shit blew my mind. It almost made me want to get out of the business. Then I meet Rick Rubin. And coming out of that case, Rick got me into, he reminded me of why I got into music in the first place. Not money, not lawyers, not licensing, none of that. It's because you love the art. And so I got back to square one, and that's where Baby Got Back came from, and all those other songs. Baby Got Back was actually gonna be a dark song. Like, I was serious about what I said. But I realized that Rick's like, yeah, you know where the hell of the damn pistol to get him to hear it. He said, you might want to make a song that seems accessible and let him figure it out later. So Ricardo was in here somewhere. He's there he is back there, my manager. We're out at lunch. I always tell this story. We're at lunch. This is when cell phones were like new. So we were balling. He had this big brick. You show them off when you walk in, like, yeah, what's up? We're in there and we get a call. And we found out that Baby Got Back had been banned from MTV. And I'm about to cry, right? But Rick's assistant, Heidi, called me and she gave me an analogy and hung up in my face. I never will forget it. She said, Mix, you are now Elvis Presley and you shook your leg one too many times on the Ed Sullivan Show. I'm like, oh shit, I'm a forbidden fruit. And believe it or not, that's where lengthy careers are born. You have to do something that this is the norm off, that leads me to my point, and then you're something. Now, let's take it to now. I know you're gonna ask me, but I'll just do a quick walk. So we get into the NFT space, kind of. We go down, and who did I meet with? A motherfucker that looked just like what I hated. This guy was from, I don't say from what industry, I don't want to say his name, and it was totally a money play. That's all it was. But I got to see everything. I was in NFT in LA and I loved it. I loved everything except for the project I was part of. Because I realized it was the most disingenuous money grab that I'd ever been a part of. And luckily, it died because there wasn't enough money for for somebody to say that. So that brings me where I'm at now. So we'll talk about that.
For sure. Well, obviously, man, that was a really cool story, by the way. And, you know, if everybody hasn't paid attention, the whole point of this entire industry is disruption, obviously. You know, disruption of the most powerful, influential thing on the planet, which is the central banks and the fiat currency. So just know that we're up for a battle, but you gotta be willing to lead the charge. And anytime you're willing to disrupt, I mean, they say fortune favors the bold. So it doesn't matter what you're gonna do, then just do it and love it and live it, believe in it. And you know what? I'm glad you did what you did.
Be rebellious with it, man. I mean, I made a lot of money in this business. So the last thing I want to do is walk into a room full of what I see as beautiful artists. And what I mean by beautiful, pure. They're not touched by like a business like I was in, which is where they just pimp you out and then give me your younger brother. We'll start again. And what I saw there, what I see here is fire. And that's something you don't see in my business. It's not there. It's all calculated risk. You know, it used to be that you just put a record out. If it didn't hit, shit, we'll do nothing. Now it's put a record out and the label drops you. Or they do this thing called shelving yards, which means they still own you, but if you don't make a hit, nobody else can have you anyway. So when you do the thing, they have to get it. They put you on the shelf, basically. And this space is totally devoid of that. What's record labels? They're basically pimps in different clothing, you know. Simple as that. But now, what I realized when I was at NFTLA is that anybody in this crowd or anybody outside can be part of my record. Right? That can be the NFT you sell. You know what? Be part of this album. You'll own 1% of it, especially to somebody that's hot online, right? It's a partner. And I like that. I like it far better than labels. That being said, Universal is very cognizant of the fact that they're seen as, they can be seen as bullshit, and they're not bullshit. Universal really respects the space. I will give it to them. They really do respect the space, but other ones,
Well, that's good to hear, because I didn't know any of them did, so that's beautiful. Well, then why don't we actually touch base on that? Why don't we talk about your drop you have coming out? And then also let's talk about how you're going to be using just smart contracts in general to help your base really, acquire wealth and hopefully build off that.
Yeah, what we want to do is really what I said. I want to create something at the guidance. I want somebody like anybody to tell me, I really like when you did this. Do a track like that. And I want to have fun. I want somebody to push me in a weird direction that forces me to get more creative, right? But I want them to make money. That would be cool as hell. It's like, I would love to get on stage somewhere in front of like 20,000 people and go, here's my boss. This is Tim from Idaho. And he's a new millionaire now because he took a chance and bought an NFT from a fat old dude. I love that.
There's no question that's one of the most powerful things about an NFT is you can put those rights, roles, and permissions and hand it off to somebody else and have them build on top of it. I agree. I think that's one of the most exciting because then there's a market and a secondary market where they can actually make money. So empowering the crowd to make money, I mean, that's awesome. Your fans and actually make it happen.
What you said about streaming revenue is so true. I mean, don't get me wrong. I make money off streaming revenue, but my statements are this thick. 1 penny, 1 penny, 1 penny, 1 penny, 1 penny. It's like, oh my God. You get through 17,000 pages and you made $97. That's crazy.
One day I need to do a penny grid, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
But go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what I liked what you said about that anybody can get in. Real quick story. I went to a meetup a while ago. A girl, 19-year-old, got up in the room. She said, I'm a photographer, I want to be a photographer, I love photography so much, so I got up every day and I shoot pictures, and I went and I started getting into NFTs 9 months ago, and she said, now I pay all my rent, I live off my NFTs. 19 years old, nobody knows who he is, but here's what was profound. She said, I carved off a little piece for my community center, and I gave them 2.5 ETH, and that was $10,000. So think about it, this is the people's movement. How many 19-year-old artists, photographers that you know, they can build a living off of this and actually help the community center? That's a powerful thing. This is the people's movement.
It really, really, truthfully is. And guys, I will tell you this. The more influential you become, whether that be just in your mind, with your followers, with your wealth, use it. Use it to spread positivity, consciousness, the love for humans moving forward. I'm telling you, all of our great grandchildren will be like proud of us. You know what I mean? They'll talk about us forever. Now, that's not the important part. The important part is they're going to live in a world where they want to live. And I'm telling you guys, it's possible. It just takes every one of us collectively to meld together into one big, beautiful thing that makes this happen. So, you guys, anybody else have anything else you want to talk about?
I really like what both of you guys said, how everybody has access to it. When it comes to being an MMA fighter, it doesn't matter where you come from, like everybody has a chance to get straight out of prison and get a UFC contract. It's so wild, you know, and I really see like a correlation between that, because that doesn't matter where you're coming from, who you are, where your background is, you can still have a come up and make something of yourself. All you have to do is just apply yourself.
I just want to say one other thing too. This is really about community. It's all about the community. I mean, I'm just I feel 30 years younger being in this community. Because you're right, everybody's there is positive. The opportunity to collaborate right now, to do collabs, is incredible. Because a lot of people, all these artists, I'm collaborating with Abe. Abe just had an incredible drop. I'm collaborating with him, a whole bunch of different people. This is the time you have an opportunity to go collab and learn. So it's all I can tell you, it's all about the community. You want to survive, build a hive, get in that community, start making it happen, and you can sell out your collections, and people will love it, and we can actually help humanity in a really good way.
Absolutely, well said. Let's start down here. You want to give anybody your social handles or anybody to get a hold of you? I don't think it's hard to find Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah, just look up Fat Guy from Seattle. You'll find me everywhere. But no, it's the real Sir Mix-a-Lot on Instagram, the real Mix on Twitter. Somebody stole my name twice. And then Sir Mix-a-Lot on Facebook. And talk about the shit. I like to talk back. So.
I like it a little bit, Russell.
Yeah. I hate when people come on and be like, "Push your Broadway, dude." What the fuck am I supposed to say to that? Thanks. I like when people pressure me to do something. Like, I remember years ago, somebody said, "Man, you should run into cars." And this guy goes, "You should do a song about cars." So I did a song about cars, and he pushed me like 1.5 million views in 15 minutes down here. I'm like, damn, okay, let's do that again. Never called me, man. But, I mean, really, I just love the fact that I can talk to anybody, not just label cats, because they're unplugged, completely unplugged. I want to be plugged in, not plugged up.
100%. Diane, what's up, your hands?
My handles are Big Z97 for most things I'm trying to think about. Zion Clark on Facebook. Zion Clark on YouTube. Big Z1997 on Snapchat. Should be able to find that little blue shirt. That's all that for us.
Very cool.
Yes, mine is everything is I am Scott Page, so it's the same everywhere. I am Scott Page. That's it. It's real simple.
So like Mix, I had some problems with Twitter too, ever since I connected my OpenSea account, I don't know why, but Instagram's Transparent Artist, transparentartist.com, and then Twitter's Transparent Art3, but it's, I don't know, they think me as a hazardous account or something.
It's easier just to Google your name and just look at the thing.
Transparency. Anyway, thank you, all of you, once again. You're beautiful.